Hello fellow book lovers, it is Katie here from the Queen of Teen Fiction. Right now I am running on about 2 hours of sleep. My emotions are running extremely high, and it's all because last night I went to the midnight showing of the final Hunger Games movie, Mockingjay Part 2. It really does feel like the end of an era because the Hunger Games have been a part of my life for the past 5 years. From reading the books through to the casting process for the movies back in 2011, and then the first movie in 2012, right on through all the other movies. It has been such a huge part of my life. I can't believe that I won't go and see another Hunger Games movie again in the cinema. So it's a very bittersweet experience to see it come to an end, but it was such a fantastic ending. I can't even begin to describe how happy I am with the movie. I am so thrilled that we've had Francis Lawrence for our director for these past 3 movies because he has done such a fantastic job. And as far as accuracy in book to film adaptations go, I think these films have been some of the best that I've seen anyway. The cast have all given such fantastic performances throughout this entire series, which is hilarious because when they were originally cast back in 2011, I will admit that I wasn't actually happy with the casting choices, especially Josh Hutcherson as Peter. I didn't see it when he was first cast, and from the minute I saw him in the Hunger Games, I completely ate my own words because he has been the best Peter that we could possibly hope for. And Jen as Katniss, she's a blessing. Last night was actually the first time that I'd ever been to a midnight showing of a movie. So this was my first midnight screening experience. I was already emotional before the film even started because the entire cinema did that before the film. My heart. And then during the trailers, they had to go and show a Star Wars trailer. And if you didn't know, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Those trailers on the big screen, my emotions. So yeah, by the time the film actually started playing, my emotions were already high. So it really was an emotional evening. I went with my best friend and my sister, and we've been going to see all the movies together. I'm the one that forced both of them into reading the books and falling in love with the series, because that's what I do. We were so emotional when we came out of the cinema and it was pouring down with rain. Hello! We have just seen Mockingjay Part 2 and it's currently raining our tears. We are so emotional.
It is raining my tears right now. I have an emotion.
My sister is over there crying because she doesn't want to be seen on camera. My sister was in tears and she had mascara running all down her face. It was quite a night. So I just want to talk a little bit about the film, my opinions on it. If you haven't seen the movie yet, you might want to avoid this video because of spoilers, even though if you've read the book, you probably already know all of the spoilers. But you know what I mean. I adored the film. I think it was very true to the book, and I totally understand why they split it into 2 parts, because we definitely wouldn't have gotten that attention to detail if everything could have been smushed into 1 movie. Putting it into 2 parts allowed us to focus on the little things that we wouldn't have got otherwise. I think the film did a really great job of transferring those scenes to screen, especially the sewer scenes. I mean, they were difficult to read in the book, and they were just as tormenting to watch on screen, especially when they realised that the mutts are down there with them. The film was so tense around that moment, and I knew there was going to be a jump scare, and I was constantly waiting for these mutts to jump out. And there were so many false alarms where they'd shine the torch or through the flames and you'd see nothing even though you were expecting it. And then when they actually did jump out, it was terrifying. So I thought that scene worked really, really well. And then of course there was Finnick's death. When he's down there and Katniss is already up the ladder and you can hear him screaming her name. Oh my god, that was so emotional. Finnick was one of my favourite characters throughout the entire series. I am still not over his death, and I will never be over his death. Finnick didn't deserve to die. I really love how the film showed Peter's mind control as well. The way he kept having those lash outs at Katniss, especially with the oil scene, when they were running away from the oil and he attacks her. I loved the way that was shot. I really loved the scenes when they were hiding in Tigris's basement as well. That played out very much like it did in the books. Gale having his little chat with Peter about who Katniss is going to choose. I hated Gale for that scene in the books, and I think I hated him even more for it in the movie. Liam played Gale really well, but he didn't make me like Gale any more than I did in the book. I know a lot of people love Gale, but I just didn't connect with him throughout reading the books. And although he might be cute to look at on screen, I still don't like him very much. Also, Jennifer and Josh as Katniss and Peter, their relationship on screen is just fantastic. I think that's what I really like about this cast, is because they are such friends outside of the movies, it shows well on screen and they all have great chemistry. So I have to talk about the later half of the movie and the ending. I thought that was all done so perfectly. The scene where the children are all collected by the gates of the mansion and then the bombs drop, that was filmed incredibly well. It played out exactly like it did in my head when I was reading the book, and it's just such a horrible, heartbreaking scene, especially when Katniss begins to realise exactly what's going to happen, but she can't do anything about it. And then of course there was the heartbreaking scene where she saw Prim before that final blast. And it was just exactly like it was in the books. So I thought every moment of that was really well adapted. I think the final few scenes, I actually enjoyed watching them in the film a lot more than I did when I was reading them in the book, which hasn't ever happened with me before when watching a film adaptation, because normally I always think the book is so much better than anything the film can show. But reading that part in the book was actually quite confusing for me. The aftermath of Prim's death, where you don't really understand exactly what's happened and Katniss is recovering, I found that quite confusing when I was reading it. Whereas in the film they kind of skimmed over it a lot and jumped straight into Katniss visiting Snow's mansion. So I liked that it was a lot more fast-paced in the movie and a lot more clear what was going on. The scene between Katniss and Snow in the greenhouse was fantastic. Can we just talk about how epic Donald Sutherland is at playing Snow, because he really is terrifying. Even there at the end when he is a weak old man coughing up blood, he is still terrifying when he's on screen. So I adored everything about that scene. And then the meeting with President Coin about starting a new Hunger Games. Again, I thought that was so truly adapted from the book. It was how I pictured it, and I loved Katniss starting to click on as to what's really going on and who was really responsible for blowing up the children. I just love how it looked on screen because it's exactly how I wanted it to be. Then the execution scene where Katniss is coming to execute Snow, and then she lifts the arrow up and hits Coin. Oh, I can't even describe how perfect I thought that entire scene was in the film. It was just so good. And then Snow's manic laughter afterwards and the people descending on him. That is exactly what I wanted. So then after that, when Katniss is sent away and her and Haymitch are saying goodbye to Effie, this is something that we didn't get in the books and I was really happy we got in the movie. And they put in a fantastic hint at something more between Haymitch and Effie, because although we didn't get any of that in the books, they had a lot of chemistry in the films and I know people were starting to ship that, me included. So when they're saying goodbye and Haymitch kisses her on the cheek and then subtly kisses her on the mouth, everyone in the cinema was like, ooh! The movie did the thing! So I was really pleased about that. Yes, it was something that wasn't in the book, but I think it was definitely an improvement. I just think Elizabeth Banks and Woody Harrelson have been so fantastic in portraying Effie and Haymitch throughout all of these films. And I love that their version of the characters had a natural chemistry. That's one of the things that I've really adored about this film series, is that Effie has been brought into it a lot more because she's such a great character, especially played by Elizabeth Banks, that I really understood the film's decision to bring her into it more. That was a change that I was actually really happy with. So yeah, Katniss and Haymitch from there go home and we get those final few scenes that we have in the books. You know, emotionally I was doing pretty well until the scene between Katniss and Buttercup. That just absolutely broke my heart, and that is when I really cried for the first time watching the film. I don't think it was that emotional for me when I was reading the book, but in the movie, seeing her hug the cat, oh my god, it just got to me so much. So I was gone by that point. I was just full-on emotional breakdown. And then Katniss and Peter being reunited, and they had that kind of montage of them adjusting to life now. The whole real or not real scene at the end, oh, it was just done so fantastically. I absolutely adored it. I really loved that final scene in the book, and it was just perfect in the movie as well. It was just very subtly done and there wasn't anything else needed other than that. One of the reasons that I think The Hunger Games is set apart from other YA book series is that there's the right level of intimacy between the characters. With a lot of other YA books, I don't know why, but there seems to be a certain pressure to add sex scenes between the main characters, and that was one thing that The Hunger Games just didn't need. The romance is always quite subtle. You're never given too much of it to the point where it gets annoying, you get just the right amount. And I think that's definitely one of the reasons why I love the book so much. So I loved getting to see it play out exactly that way on screen. So then finally we had the epilogue. Oh, the epilogue! When Katniss is talking about nightmares to the baby. I was full on in tears by then. It was just such a perfect conclusion, exactly how I imagined it to be from reading the book. So yeah, I came away from that movie feeling way more than satisfied. The film was everything I wanted it to be and more. It was so beautifully played out on screen. It's not often that I have high expectations for a book to film adaptation and it actually delivers everything that I want. So yeah, I am really sad that it's over, but I'm really happy that we got such a fantastic ending to it. I still haven't had time to really collect my thoughts on it because it was just last night when I watched it and I barely had any sleep. So I'm sure over the next couple of days there are probably going to be a lot more things that I want to say about it. But for now, that is my initial thoughts on the movie. If you have seen Mockingjay Part 2, then I hope you weren't disappointed. Feel free to leave all of your thoughts down there. Come cry with me. Come get emotional. It's okay, let it out. I'm just really, really grateful for the way The Hunger Games has played out on screen throughout these past few years. I think they really have set the bar for future book to film adaptations. So yeah, that's about it. I'm probably going to cry for hours about Finnick Odair and how he didn't deserve to die. I love how throughout watching the film I was still casually hoping that they'd forget. Like, you can forget all about that, he doesn't have to die. So that's my plan for the rest of the day. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you next time.